Continues his testimony at the PIC Commission. Let's go back to Owen Nkomo from Inkunzi Wealth Group about the Rand. So Owen, you were saying that the Rand, in fact he's on the line for us, you were saying that the Rand was acting like the Rand today. It's been up and down. My question to you was, wouldn't there be a very strong reaction if investors thought that the president at the helm of the economy was under serious threat? So maybe they're not too worried about the public protector report for now.
Yes, I agree with you, Francis, and I think that those concerns, in my view, have been abated, especially today on the back of what happened with the High Court and the ruling against the public protector. Maybe people are looking at that judgment and saying maybe there might be there's a very big chance that the current stance that the public protector has taken against the president might not succeed as well. And I need to remind you that we're actually one of those countries that has the luxury of having these institutions that can actually take the leader of the country to task. And in some other emerging markets and emerging countries, this doesn't happen, Francis. So I think that's probably a big vote of confidence in our systems as well.
So it's democracy at work. One of the things that has weighed on the Rand previously, Owen, is the Eskom, huge debt problems there. And there are reports that the finance minister has allocated an extra 59 billion Rand today so it can service its debt. We're expecting to hear more from the finance minister tomorrow. But has that just simply washed over the markets today?
Oh yes, that is actually good news, and I think it's going to give comfort for Eskom. It's going to give Eskom room to maneuver. And if you remember, a few weeks ago, actually, we heard as well that the PIC was considering to do a structure that would see the PIC convert its debt to equity in Eskom. I don't know how far that conversation has gone, but this news from the Minister of Finance is certainly very welcome, and I think it will give Eskom some nice reprieve in as far as paying back some of its interest and capital liabilities over the next 2 years. Yeah. And one hopes that there will be some structural changes as well that happen at Eskom that will allow the company to be more nimble and to be able to deal with this financial condition.
And of course, the global issues, Owen, one of the things buoying the Rand is expectations of rate cuts in Europe and in the United States. Some investors saying, though, they're tempering their expectations. What are you expecting around that?
Look, I really do think that America can afford to cut interest rates. I do think that the economy is doing really well, and I believe that the currency as well, the dollar is also very strong, so it doesn't need to be defended in any way. So interest rates can actually be cut in America to sort of continue to bolster the U.S. economy, and if that happens, I expect the ECB to follow suit. I expect the banks in Australia and Canada and other big jurisdictions to continue to do so. But the big debate that's happening in the markets at the moment is how long will markets live on this drug called cheap interest rate or quantitative easing? Because we've seen this happen now for almost a decade, and I don't know that the market will continue to survive on a low interest rate environment like this, Francis.
And there are also these risks lurking. So oil was up because of that tanker being seized, the UK tanker by Iran. Huge concerns about a no-deal Brexit. Is there a possibility, Owen, that the Rand could go plunging if we get caught up in one of these global issues?
No, look, I think that the biggest systemic risk, in my view, at the moment, that we had was the interest rate environment, where interest rates could have continued to go up in America, but now they've just put the brake on the pedal there in the U.S., and the conversations are starting to be, as we were saying earlier, to talk about interest rates potentially being cut. And I think that would have been the only big risk, in my view, to global economies. And at the same time, the other risk that exists, which is ironical, is the fact that global stock markets are trading at all-time highs, especially in the USA. They're trading at all-time highs, and potentially valuations are starting to look very, very expensive. And there is room that the markets might collapse in the US. And if that does happen, generally the rest of the world's economies do collapse as well. I don't think that the price of oil at this stage is that much of a risk. People have accepted that it's going to maintain this range, sort of $60 to $65. Pricing is now based on that. And I think that every time the oil price tries to go to $70, it always comes back again closer to $60. So we're living with that range for now, unless something major happens in the oil markets.
All right, so the rand holding for now, but maybe we should hold that lightly, that current strength. Thank you very much, Owen Nkomo from Inkunzi Wealth Group. Now, at least one economist believes